Well, Triple H's music was playing at the end of another WWE pay-per-view. But I'm not crying, I'm not screaming, I'm not raging. So I guess that means he's not the world champion. And any WWE pay-per-view that goes by without Triple H becoming the world champion is a victory to me. So, like The Miz before me, I would like to declare myself 1 and, well, 13 against Triple H. This was a pretty good pay-per-view. This was a mixed bag. Chris Jericho versus Rey Mysterio was very good, but then there was some shit. McCool versus Melina, that could have been a hell of a lot better than what it was. And the Great Khali versus Dolph Ziggler was shit. But then we all knew it was going to be shit. I have no idea why that was on pay-per-view. I mean, other than set up the most meaningless feud imaginable between Kane and the Great Khali. No one wants to see that. Yeah, but most notably what I'm talking about when I refer to shit on this pay-per-view was The Miz versus John Cena. That was a disgrace. That was fucking terrible. I can't believe you did that. We were all wondering before this match whether this would be the match that elevated The Miz to main event status, or whether he jobbed to John Cena. And I foolishly thought it was going to be the former. I placed my faith in the Raw bookers. But they're idiots. They have no idea. This was a squash match. This lasted 6 minutes. I looked at the clock at the start of the match. I wanted to know how long this would last. 6 fucking minutes. The Miz jobbed to John Cena. No! Anyway, let's begin. We started off with the ECW Championship Scramble match between the challengers, Christian, Jack Swagger, Finlay, Mark Henry, and the champion, Tommy Dreamer. This was a good match. This was a pretty good opener. It was a pretty fun match, I thought. Christian and Swagger start off this match, which of course is the correct decision because they're the only 2 talented wrestlers in this match. And they have great chemistry, so they started off very well. Swagger looks really good now. He looks like the finished article, except when he speaks, of course, when he looks terrible. But good crowd at this pay-per-view. I really liked them. They're good atmosphere through most of the matches. And they were doing the dueling chant thing, let's go Christian, let's go Swagger, and all that. That was very good. Yeah, so they have a good sequence. Then Finlay shows up, and Finlay actually looks surprisingly impressive for once. He's running around the ring for about 20 seconds, and then he returns to his usual strolling pace. Swagger gets the first pinfall by gouging Finlay's eyes and then rolling him up, which was kind of lame, but Finlay's selling this eye injury thing, so fair enough. Dreamer comes out and clears house in a rather unlikely fashion, accompanied to a loud ECW chant. Finlay becomes the champion by hitting the Celtic Cross on Swagger. Then Mark Henry shows up. Oh joy. Mark Henry dominates everyone. He gorilla presses slam Christian over the top rope, and then he world's strongest slams someone to become ECW champion. Then they all gang up on Mark Henry. We get some fairly entertaining spots to the outside. Finlay does his suicide dive, which is fucking terrible. Like, he barely clears the ropes with his legs. It's just pathetic. Then Christian does his leapfrog to the corner and then over the top thing, and Dreamer does his cannonball. Then Mark Henry teases he's going to go to the top rope and jump to the outside. No, you're not, Mark. We realise you can't even get to the second fucking rope. Swagger pulls his leg away, then Swagger bombs him and becomes ECW champion again. Then Christian kill switches Swagger and is about to win the ECW championship when Dreamer breaks the count, DDTs Christian, and gets the pinfall to become the champ. With 1 minute 10 seconds remaining and all 5 people in the ring, so it's very unlikely that anyone else is going to win the championship because every fall is getting broken up, and no one else does. Dreamer wins. I was kind of expecting him to, because this is the kind of match that you can get lucky in, so I thought they'd let Dreamer win this kind of match. They might be setting up a Christian Dreamer feud, which I don't want to see, even though I think Christian's fantastic, but just because Christian was about to win the match with the kill switch on Swagger, but Dreamer broke it up. This was a fairly good match. This was not 20 minutes, but it was a fairly good match. We have Teddy Long talk to Edge, just talking about how he's not on this pay-per-view, how Teddy Long should get him on, put him in a triple threat match and stuff like that. Then we have Chris Jericho versus Rey Mysterio. This was match of the night. This was a very good match. This had a big match feel, lots of pay-per-view quality spots. This was the best of the 4 matches they've had in this feud, and this feud has been immense. I've loved all the mask stuff. I think this has managed to elevate Jericho's character even more, and Jericho's character was fantastic. It's now even better. I love that speech on SmackDown where he was talking about how he used to be addicted to the cheers of the WWE Universe, but now he realizes he doesn't need those parasites anymore. I thought that was great. Anyway, this had lots of good spots. Jericho was constantly trying to remove Rey Mysterio's mask, and Mysterio was hitting some great stuff. He hit seated senton to the outside. It was really nice. He hit a springboard. He springboarded onto the top rope, then he springboarded to the other rope and hit a split-legged moonsault on Jericho. That was great. Mysterio also got battered into the guardrail after trying a baseball slide. I enjoyed that. Todd Grisham's a fucking idiot, right? I criticized him a few months ago and people were defending him. Are you still defending him? I'm really curious because he is the worst commentator I have ever heard. He is awful. He kept repeating exactly what JR was saying, but in a less interesting way. Like, JR was saying, Chris Jericho shouldn't get fixated on the mask. He should focus on winning the match. And Todd Grisham went, well, yeah, because if he wins the match, he gets the mask anyway. And JR was just like, yep, that was kind of my point. And then later, JR said, Rey Mysterio's never been the biggest dog in the fight. And Todd Grisham went, yeah, he's never been the bigger man in a wrestling match. I was just like, what the fuck are you doing? Say something of your own. But yeah, this was a good match anyway. Rey Mysterio tries a reverse 619, but he gets out of the way. We get Walls of Jericho for a bit. There's a great spot when Rey Mysterio goes for a Hurricane Rana from the corner and Jericho just power bombs him. And I thought that should be the end of the match, to be honest, because that was really, because Jericho also put his foot on the ropes, but Mysterio still kicked out. I thought that was the end of the match. Rey Mysterio goes for a springboard crossbody. Jericho catches him in a beautiful code breaker, but takes a long time to cover and only gets a 2 count. The end of the match comes. Jericho gets Mysterio on the Walls of Jericho. I don't think we're ever expecting Mysterio to tap out in a match where his mask's on the line, but fair enough. Jericho gets it into a sort of pinning combination, then he pulls Mysterio's mask off, but Mysterio's got another mask on underneath, and Mysterio gets Jericho in the 619 position and hits the 619. Very good match. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. Rey Mysterio's the new Intercontinental Champion. Yeah, I quite like the mask thing at the end as well. I thought that worked. They then show a video package of the Trump saga. Can you call it a saga when it's only went on for 1 week? For some reason, I feel you should. Then we see Triple H getting taped up, and they inform us that there have only ever been 2 3 Stages of Hell matches, and Triple H has won them both. That's true of a lot of different match types. Triple H seems to have won, any match they don't do very often, Triple H wins every one of them. Then we get Jericho talking to Teddy Long. There's the whole storyline throughout the night that Teddy Long's job is on the line, etc., etc. He demands a rematch, and Jericho threatens he'll get fired. JR tries to have some banter with Todd Grisham by saying, I don't think Teddy Long's having as good a night at this pay-per-view as we are, and Todd Grisham is not prepared for this. He just wants to do the link, so he's just like, yeah, well, he's on probation. Anyway, here's Dolph Ziggler. Then we had Khali versus Dolph Ziggler. JR says he's trying to figure out what Ranjan Singh's role is when he's escorting the Great Khali to the ringside, and I was like, JR, do you want him to get fired? But yeah, this was rubbish. Of course it was rubbish. What else is it going to be? Ziggler makes the Great Khali look reasonably interesting, but not interesting enough to warrant me wanting to see him in any way. End of the match comes. Kane comes out. Yes, that's right, Kane, who we haven't seen in months and no one cares about. Comes out with a steel chair and beats the shit out of the Great Khali with it, and Ziggler gets the pinfall victory. So they're still playing up that Ziggler's this big star. He's alright. But this Kane Great Khali feud, who cares? They were like, but why did Kane do it? And I was like, I don't care. I don't know. I don't remotely care. It doesn't matter, right? This feud's never going to be interesting. Anyway, turn over to part 2.